You're lying in bed. It's late. Your body is exhausted, but your mind refuses to stop moving. And somehow, out of the thousands of memories your brain could replay, it chooses a random conversation from 3 weeks ago. Now you're analyzing it like evidence. Your tone, their expression, that pause in the middle, the message they still haven't replied to. And then the future arrives. Not the real future, the imagined one. You rehearse arguments that will never happen. You prepare for disasters that will probably never come. You mentally simulate tomorrow over and over again, as if thinking hard enough might somehow protect you from pain. And by morning, your body hasn't moved, but your nervous system feels like it survived something dangerous. Some people don't live life once. They live it 1,000 times inside their head before it even happens. Most people think overthinking is just a bad habit. It's not. It's something much deeper than that. Overthinking is usually what happens when a brain learns one dangerous lesson too early. If I stay alert, maybe I can stay safe. And once the mind learns that, it becomes very difficult to turn off. Because this isn't just about thoughts, it's about survival. Today we're going to follow the entire chain, how fear slowly becomes hyper-awareness, how intelligence accidentally makes the problem worse, how the brain becomes addicted to worry itself, and why people who think too much often feel exhausted, even when nothing is happening. Because the real problem isn't that overthinkers think too much. The real problem is that their nervous system never truly learned how to feel safe. Every overthinking pattern usually begins with uncertainty, not ordinary uncertainty, emotional uncertainty, the kind that teaches the brain, you need to pay attention all the time. For some people, that starts in childhood, in homes where moods changed suddenly, where conflict appeared without warning, where mistakes felt emotionally expensive. A child in that environment starts studying everything. Tone changes, facial expressions, energy shifts, because their nervous system learned something important very early. If I can predict problems, maybe I can avoid pain. Psychologists call this hyper-vigilance, a nervous system that stays permanently alert, always scanning, always monitoring, always preparing. And the strange thing is, this survival strategy actually works for a while. Hyper-aware children often become highly perceptive adults. They notice things others miss, tiny emotional shifts, subtle tension, changes in behavior. But eventually, the brain forgets the difference between awareness and safety. So even when life becomes calm, the system keeps searching, because once the brain learns danger can appear unexpectedly, peace itself starts feeling suspicious. And this is where intelligence quietly makes everything worse. Most people assume intelligent minds suffer less, but often they suffer more, because intelligence increases possibility. The average person sees 1 or 2 future outcomes. The overthinker sees 20, including the embarrassing outcome, the unlikely outcome, the catastrophic outcome, and the hyper-specific disaster nobody else even imagined. And because the brain already believes uncertainty is dangerous, it treats every possibility like a problem that must be solved. That's why intelligent overthinkers become trapped in loops, not because they're irrational, because their brain has too much processing power and nowhere to put it. Studies on rumination consistently show that chronic overthinkers score higher in pattern recognition, future simulation, emotional prediction, which means the same mind-creating anxiety is also constantly trying to protect you from emotional pain. That's the brutal irony. You call it thinking ahead, but sometimes it's fear wearing an intelligent disguise, and eventually the mind becomes so focused on predicting life that it slowly stops experiencing life directly. Psychologists call it mental time travel, the brain's ability to mentally simulate past and future experiences. For most people, it's useful. For chronic overthinkers, it becomes home. You stop simply living moments. You start mentally auditing them while they happen. Part of you is always somewhere else, replaying the past, preparing for the future, simulating conversations before they occur. You imagine fake arguments in the shower. You rehearse explanations nobody asked for. You create futures so vividly, your body reacts as if they're already real. And slowly, thinking stops feeling like an activity. It starts feeling like a place you live inside. Some people are physically present, but psychologically, they left reality a long time ago. And once the brain gets used to living in simulation, something dangerous begins to happen. The brain starts rewarding the loop itself. Overthinking can become neurologically addictive, not metaphorically, chemically, because every time your brain analyzes a problem, It releases small amounts of dopamine, not because you solved the problem, because your brain believes you're making progress. That's why worrying can feel weirdly productive. The mind confuses mental engagement with control, so the more uncertain life feels, the more rewarding overthinking becomes. You aren't just trapped in thought. Your nervous system is being chemically reinforced to continue the cycle, and eventually, your body starts paying the price for thoughts that never stop running. This is the part many people never realize. Overthinking is physical. Every imagined threat triggers a real biological response. Cortisol rises, muscles tighten, heart rate subtly changes. Your nervous system prepares for danger, even when the danger only exists inside your imagination. And because overthinkers mentally simulate threats constantly, their body rarely fully relaxes. Psychologists describe this state with one phrase: tired but wired, exhausted but unable to rest. Your body feels drained, while your nervous system stays activated. And over time, the system starts damaging itself. Sleep weakens, focus drops, memory worsens, anxiety becomes more sensitive. The mind creates stress, the body absorbs it. Then the exhausted body makes the mind even more reactive. The loop feeds itself. And maybe the cruelest part is this: most people around you never notice the battle happening, because externally, you look completely normal. But internally, your nervous system never leaves survival mode. And eventually, people begin mistaking this survival mechanism for their personality. After enough years, overthinking stops feeling temporary. It starts feeling like who you are. You become the deep thinker, the anxious one, the careful one, the person who always prepares. But underneath all those identities is usually one terrified belief: if I stop thinking, something bad will happen. That's why just relax never works, because the brain still believes thinking creates safety. And healing doesn't begin by forcing the thoughts away. It begins when the nervous system slowly realizes something new. Uncertainty is survivable, not controllable. Survivable. And that changes everything. Because peace was never about predicting every possible future. It was about finally trusting yourself enough to handle life, even when you cannot predict it. Here's the truth most overthinkers never hear. Your mind is not weak. Your mind adapted. It learned to protect you the best way it knew how, by staying alert, by staying prepared, by staying ahead. But the survival mechanism that once protected you eventually became the thing exhausting you. And healing begins the moment your nervous system realizes you survived situations you once thought would destroy you, which means maybe you no longer need to rehearse every possible future before it arrives. Maybe you no longer need to earn safety through endless thinking, because peace does not come from controlling uncertainty. It comes from finally believing that you can survive it. Subscribe if you like it. I'll see you in the next one.